Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Sunday afternoon. Now, some surprising news, but also some news that I think makes a lot of us Michigan fans just flat out smile. Three-star quarterback Tommy Carr flipping his commitment from Miami of Ohio to Michigan. For those who don't know who Tommy Carr is, and I'm sure most of y'all do, this is the grandson of Lloyd Carr. This is the little brother of CJ Carr, who's at Notre Dame. This one fires me up for a couple of different reasons. Number one, this kid wants to be a Michigan Wolverine. And I know that sounds foolish. That sounds silly to say. How many times over the last couple of years in this new era of the sport, how many times do we get to say this kid wants to go to that program? Because there's a lot of reasons to go play football at different schools. Tommy Carr grew up a Michigan fan, wants to play at Michigan. I think that matters. And then number two, hey, he's bought in. Like, he knows he's probably not going to be starting at quarterback for Michigan during his first 2 years. There are not a lot of quarterbacks that are willing to go to a program, sit and develop. Tommy Carr is telling us he is. Bryce Underwood's going to be here for the next 2 years after this season. Tommy Carr is going to be sitting behind Bryce Underwood. What does Tommy Carr look like come year 3, year 4? Because there's a lot to like about Tommy Carr. Now, do I think Tommy Carr is as natural of a thrower of the football as his older brother, CJ? No, probably not. And that's probably why Tommy's a 3-star prospect and CJ Carr was the top 100 prospect. There's still a lot to like about Tommy Carr. Number one, this kid's a winner. He's won a lot of football at the high school ranks. Number two, there are some traits here. Now, although he might not necessarily be as natural of a thrower of the football, or I should say gifted, because he's a pretty natural thrower of the football, not as gifted as a thrower of the football as his older brother, CJ. He's probably a better athlete. At 6'4", 200 pounds, you turn on the film and say, we are making some high-level throws on his senior film. He's getting himself out of trouble. He's throwing off platform, using his legs. The best way I would describe Tommy Carr is this kid's he's a freaking gamer. And having gamers at the quarterback position, man, that stuff matters. I'll say this too. Yeah, everything we hear from this family, including his older brother CJ, is that both of these two kids, they're wired the right way. They're exceptional leaders. That matters at the quarterback position. It might not matter at other positions on the football field, but at the quarterback position, it does. And you're seeing it with CJ Carr. I can't tell you how impressed I am with CJ Carr as a redshirt freshman, not only in terms of what he's doing on the football field, but how he handled adversity, losing those first 2 games, emerging as one of the better quarterbacks in the country. I'll bet on his little brother every single day of the week. That's probably my selling point on Tommy Carr. Now, we'll get into a little bit of the film, but I also want to talk about what this kid has done at the high school level and where Michigan is going on the recruiting trail. Before we get into it, as always, the Michigan fans, hey, can we get a vibe check? I'm just curious to how Michigan fans are taking this one. I think it's very exciting. Would love to hear from the Michigan fans in the comment section. And man, the amount of support this fan base is showing the boys. Y'all know I'm a Michigan fan. There's nothing I'd rather be doing than talking Michigan football. And the amount of support this fan base has shown the boys the last couple of months through a freaking roller coaster of a 2025 season. It's been amazing. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Really big next couple of weeks for Michigan. Not only in terms of the last 2 games, hosting Ohio State at the end of November, everything that we are hearing is that Michigan is going to push their chips in for some transfer portal additions. But we're going to have a lot to talk about regarding this football team over the next couple of weeks and months. Without further ado, let's get into Tommy Carr. Now, hey, over the last 2 seasons, a 69% completion percentage in his junior and senior year combined. 64 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Accuracy, check. Decision-making, check. High school production in general, very much a check. And then you turn on the film and say, look, we have some, what I think are really, really impressive throws to get into. Number one, pushes the ball down the field at a pretty damn high level. I mean, this is really, really impressive throw. Only one spot you can put this football, Tommy Carr's putting it there. As you continue to work through the film, look, the arm talent's there. but it's like the decision. This kind of reminds me a little bit of Brady Hart. And what I loved about Brady Hart before he flipped his commitment to Texas A&M, hey, we're just going to work in the pocket. We're finding the spaces in zone coverage. When it's time to go be an athlete, we'll go be an athlete too. I really, really impressed. And know what he does, and this is still kind of a work in progress for Bryce Underwood, is varies the speed of his footballs. Like when it's time to rip one in there, Tommy Carr will rip one in there. But when it's time to put some air under it with pressure in your face, like you know you're about to get hit right here, and we're just going to put this one right over the top and drop it in the bucket, that's what you like to see from your quarterback. You continue to work through the film, and you're going to see him just step up and rip this one. Like, hey, we got to rip it in there. We gonna rip it in there, put it right on the face mask. Continue to work through it. You see some of the playmaking ability shows up again. We're ripping it, putting it right on the chest. I think this is some playmaking ability here, and he's got some straight line juice, man. He's got some straight line juice. When he decides to take off, let's go take off and make some people miss. And then you're going to see some what I think is really impressive work getting himself out of trouble. Got some play action. Hey, throw off platform. This stuff's important. Send your feet, throwing off platform, being accurate with the football. I believe this is the play. Look at the juice here. I mean, he's 6'4" and he can rumble. Look at the quicks, like getting himself out of trouble, making people miss, keeping his eyes downfield, going out throwing a touchdown. That's the moxie. That's the gamer that you're looking for your quarterbacks. Now you go to 2026's cycle, and what does this mean for Brady Schmegel? I'm not sure. Brady Schmegel tore his ACL during his senior year. I think Brady Schmegel was a developmental prospect anyways. And so we'll see if Brady Schmegel decides to stick with Michigan or flip his commitment elsewhere. I think you feel good about the quarterback room. Like Brady Schmegel and Tommy Carr are one of them coming in. You obviously have Peter Bork, who I think is a really damn good football player in 2027. You have Bryce Underwood currently there right now. You have a young pipeline of talented quarterbacks. And I think you have a really damn good 2026 cycle as well. It's going to finish as around a top 12 class, maybe top 10, depending on some flips that we have on the board. But it does sound like Michigan is gearing up to go all in. And I shouldn't say all in. We saw Michigan last year, and we've talked about this, so we'll keep it short. We saw Michigan last year really focus on closing at the high school ranks. Obviously flipping Bryce Underwood, but then you look at a bunch of other different football players and say, hey, we decided to go get Ty Haywood or go get a guy like Nate Owusu-Boateng and flip Nate Marshall late from Auburn. We decided to put our resources at the high school ranks. I think it's going to be a little reversed. Now, we have a set part of resources here. It sounds like Michigan's getting geared up to use that in the portal, specifically at the wide receiver position. We'll see what Michigan decides to do, but y'all know my take on this. I mean, I think you got a quarterback in Bryce Underwood who has the chance to be really good next year. You have an offensive line that's going to be freaking awesome next year. You have a running back room with Jordan Marshall and Savion Hyder coming in that's going to be good. Young talent at all three levels of the defense. It sounds like Michigan is geared up to make sure they go get one or two difference makers at wide receiver. You pair those two guys up with what we've seen from Andrew Marsh and say that to me seems like the recipe where Michigan goes from a solid but inconsistent team and young team in 2025 to a bona fide national championship contender in 2026. As at times far as it seems Michigan is from being a national championship team, I'm not sure how far away they actually are. With some younger guys getting a little bit more development, but also just a few key pieces that Michigan might add in the portal. Close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.